Hi, Elle Ingalls here at elleingles.com, pressure-free.com. And the topic today is, why is it that you might do really well in practice or in rehearsal, but then when you get to a competition, a game, or a performance, you feel just a little bit off. You feel like you're not quite doing your best or doing as well as you did in practice. So I'm going to give you 3 reasons why that happens, and it may explain a few things for you. So the first thing is that when we go into competition or go to perform, if we're at all feeling like we're going to be late or a little anxious about it, we're going to trigger the fight or flight stress response. And when the fight or flight stress response happens, a few things are going to happen that are going to instantly change our performance. So the first thing is our body's going to tighten. The front of the body's going to tighten because that is how we protect ourselves. We tighten our abs, we'll tighten our throat. So if you're a singer or a wind player or brass player, your throat is going to tighten. It's going to feel like it's harder to breathe. If you're, that idea, like you'll hear people say, wow, you really choked in that game. Well, we literally might feel like we're choking. I worked with an athlete once who felt like her whole throat was just closing up every time she would go to take the court. So the front of the body does get tight, and that's going to change how we perform physically. So for example, I'm a violinist, and if my body gets tight, like, so the left hand here, the bicep is going to get tight, and I'm actually going to creep up, and my intonation is going to change. I remember teaching this to one of my students who was having, every time she performed, she would climb like a whole quarter step higher. Her whole arm would slide up a little bit because of that tension that instantly happens when we go into fight or flight. And again, it's because you're trying to protect yourself. I see it with athletes too. So for example, baseball players will, let's say they're throwing from third to first. They will throw really hard and they will miss because, again, there's a tightness in their body. Also, reflex is hyper. So that's another physical thing that's happening. Now let's go to one of the more sensory or mental things that happen. So when you go into fight or flight, your eyesight changes a little bit and also your hearing. So you're not going to hear instructions quite so well. Here's an example for test anxiety. You're going to take a test. If you go into fight or flight, you won't hear the instructions like how to put your name. So for example, on a test where it says last name first, first name second, so many people don't do that, even though it's written and even though they're hearing the instruction. So when you're not hearing quite as well, that's going to definitely affect your performance. If you're a musician or a dancer or in theater, you're having trouble hearing what's going on around you. If you're an athlete, you're having trouble hearing what's happening out on the field. If you're just at your job and your boss is wondering, like, why don't they get that done? It's like you didn't even hear the instruction. So hearing changes a lot. And here's another thing that's so important. So we've got hearing, we've got the physical tightness happening, and here's the third thing. When you're in fight or flight, you're not able to lodge short-term memory very well because this hippocampus is going to shut down back here. So for example, if you're trying to even remember something while you're doing it, you're not going to remember it quite right. Your memory is going to be corrupted, is how I like to put it in just a simple terms. So your memory isn't going to be so great. That's huge when you're trying to remember plays, or you're trying to remember what you're supposed to do next, or you've memorized a piece of music and you get so far and then you have a total breakdown because you just can't remember what the next phrase is. So it's a biological reason this is all happening to you. The fight or flight stress hormones are what's making all those changes happen. So at Pressure Free, we help you stop releasing those hormones because it's embarrassing. Then you feel your face turn red and you get done whatever it was and you feel like you just didn't do your best. And in a lot of cases, I will hear people say, I'm just failing. I'm failing so much. So I hope this is helpful to learn a little bit about, these 3 things about the body tension, which of course is going to change what you do physically. The ability to see and hear, that's going to change how you're taking in information and how you're able to respond to that information. And then memory. So those 2 things are really key when you're trying to perform or enter a competition or or just work your daily job. So I hope you've liked this. I hope you will share it out and give me some comments if you like. Some heart shares are always welcome on Facebook. And if you'd like to learn more, you can go to my calendar, which is speakwithelle.com. I have some strategy calls this week, but I do have some spots still open. And I'm finishing up with a few clients. So these next 2 weeks, I'm definitely have some room for some new clients. Hi, Mike. So nice to see you. So on that beautiful note, I wish you a great pressure-free day. Bye.